Hello everyone and welcome back. In this video I'm going to talk to you about the healthcare proxy and the power of attorney and whether they are even worth the paper they're written on when it comes to dealing with a behavioral health issue. So healthcare proxy tends to deal with medical decisions, right? I give you the authority to make medical decisions for me when I'm not capacitated. In other words, I'm not able to make those decisions for myself. Power of attorney tend to deal with things of a financial nature. When I'm not able to make decisions for myself, I want you to take control of my bank account or, my stock market account or whatever it happens to be, but you get the idea. Okay. So in order for me to give you that authority, hopefully I am of sound mind and competent, meaning I know what I'm doing. I understand the consequences of giving you the authority to make healthcare decisions and financial decisions for me. Well, think about this, right? If I've got a behavioral health issue, am I even competent to give you that authority? Just something to ponder. In other words, is that authority I've given to you even valid? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. What happens if you say to me, Mark, you gave me the authority specifically to make medical decisions for you, and I'd like you to go to treatment. Well, my friend, I don't think I will. I'm just not feeling it today. In fact, I'd rather just sit in my house and do absolutely nothing. In fact, I'm going to smoke a little marijuana today, and I'm going to do my day trading. And if you could take care of my rent and car payment, I'd be grateful for that too. But I don't think I'm going to go to treatment. In fact, no, I'm definitely not going to treatment. And now you're standing there with this healthcare proxy and you're like, but you gave me that authority. And I'm like, okay, well, that sounds nice. That's a very nice piece of paper you got there and beautiful ink, but I'm not going. In fact, you can take that healthcare proxy and you know where you can, well, you get the idea, right? And so you've got this document and you don't know what to do with it. It is my profound belief that a healthcare proxy and a power of attorney I think they're worthless when it comes to behavioral health cases. Forget the validity of the process, right? And whether or not they're actually valid, grants of authority. What happens if I decide, first of all, I'm like, well, I'm just revoking the consent I gave you, but I'm not even going to comply with supposedly the authority I gave you. What are you going to do about that? Well, what really needs to happen is you need to enforce the alleged rights that you supposedly have been given. And I think that opens up a whole other can of worms. But what really needs to happen here is you need to file for guardianship over me. You need to file for guardianship over me. And what that means is rather than me allegedly giving you certain authority, you're going to go into court and get a judge to give it to you. You're going to take it from me, whether I like it or not. And now, because you have guardianship over me and you have a judge who has signed a court order, if I don't comply with it, guess what? The judge says, Mr. Astor, get yourself back in my courtroom and explain to me why I shouldn't sanction you for violating my court order, which gave your parents the right to make medical decisions for you. Tell me why I shouldn't punish you for that. I've decided that you can't make decisions for yourself because you're not of sound mind. You have a behavioral health disease and you need to go to treatment. You need to take your medication. You need to stop using marijuana. You need to stop hanging out with these individuals who are feeding into your behavioral health issue. You need help. And I have decided that because you cannot make the decision to save yourself, that I have given that right, that power, that authority to your parents because they love you and they care about you and they are of sound mind and they are the ones who are best suited to make decisions vis-a-vis your healthcare. And so if you're not going to comply with their wishes, then we have to have a very different conversation because I cannot allow you to continue to do this self-destructive behavior. And that is the difference between a healthcare proxy / power of attorney and guardianship, which can include the authority to make medical decisions and financial decisions. And this is why, when it comes to behavioral health, I'm not a fan of a healthcare proxy or a power of attorney, because ultimately, if you're still able to say, I'm not going, then what's the point of having it if you're not going to enforce it? And the enforcement really is just another way of saying, I'm going to file for guardianship. Well, why not just file for guardianship in the first place? Why faff around with this document that really doesn't give you any authority? It really doesn't. It's just a bit of paper. But under certain circumstances, of course, a healthcare proxy and a power of attorney are appropriate and valid and great things to have, but not when you're dealing with a behavioral health issue. So just my 2 cents. I'm sure there'll be some lawyers out there who will disagree, and I welcome the comments. I'd love a thumbs up if you like this video, and if you could subscribe to the channel, well, I'd be grateful for that too. So until next time, thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.